Hi guys, today we're going to talk about the classification of living organisms. All living organisms have features that make it possible to classify them on the basis of different criteria. The largest group recognized by biologists is the kingdom. There are 5 main kingdoms. They are plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, and protists. In this video, we are going to go through each of these 5 kingdoms and talk about the common characteristics that they have which allow an organism to be classified into that particular kingdom. Before doing the 5 kingdom analysis, let's say that animals, plants, fungi, and protists have eukaryotic cells. That means their cells have a nucleus. Bacteria is a distinct, separated group of these 4 kingdoms because their cells are different. We call these organisms prokaryotic because their cells do not have a nucleus. Let's start with the animal kingdom. Animals are multicellular. That means their bodies are made by a large number of cells. They get their food from feeding from other organisms. They have nervous coordination, a nervous system. They don't have a cell wall or chloroplast in their cells, so they do not photosynthesize. They store their carbohydrates as glycogen. We can divide animals into vertebrates and invertebrates, according to whether they have a backbone or not. Okay, let's move on with the plant kingdom. Plants are multicellular too. Their cells contain chloroplasts and therefore they can carry out photosynthesis. This means they can make their own food by processing the sunlight. Their cell walls are made of cellulose. They store sugar in the form of starch. We can go further and classify plants into non-flowering plants and flowering plants, which are those that reproduce by making seeds. The fungi kingdom. Fungi can be multicellular or unicellular. Their cells have cell walls made of chitin. Their body structure is made by a network of fibers called mycelium. They have many nuclei, that means they are multinucleated. And they feed by saprophytic nutrition using extracellular enzymes. The food breaks down externally from their cells and then they absorb it by diffusing the resulting smaller nutrients. So, as I said before, you can get single-celled, fungi, or multicellular. Now we are going to go through the protist kingdom. This kingdom includes organisms that don't really fit into any of the other groups. We are talking about organisms that aren't clearly plants or clearly animals or fungi. So some are like plants and we refer to them as photophyte and they can photosynthesize. Some are like animals and we refer to them as protozoa and they ingest solid food. Here you have some examples. The prokaryote kingdom. They are all single-celled organisms and they have very small cells. Their cell walls aren't made of cellulose, like plants. Instead of that, prokaryote cells are made of a complex mixture of proteins, sugar, and lipids, something called peptidoglycan. Some of them have a capsule outside their cell wall. Some have flagella. These structures are like little tails they can flick for movement. According to their shape, bacteria can be classified in rolled shape, like Lactobacillus, and in a spherical shape, like Pneumococcus. These are the ones that cause pneumonia. Now I'm going to talk about viruses. Viruses aren't classified as living organisms because they aren't made by cells, and they don't have the characteristics of living things that we've talked about in class. They don't have nucleus, cytoplasm, or membrane, and they are smaller than any other kind of cell. These organisms are all parasites. What this means is that they live and reproduce inside the host and cause the host harm. Viruses are made of genetic material like DNA or RNA surrounded by proteins. This structure is called capsid. Viruses cause disease, for example, influenza, which causes the flu, or COVID-19, the reason we are in quarantine. Well, I know this was a lot of information. I hope I was clear enough. Did you understand? If you have any doubts, You can consult me through the platform. So that's all for now. A big hug for everyone.